Okay, ramen noodles. So here we have 140 grams of water. We have 8 grams of baked baking soda. You can also use lye water from an Asian market. So baked baking soda is baking soda that you cook in the oven at 350 degrees for about an hour and a half. And basically you're breaking down the sodium bicarbonate to sodium carbonate. This is going to help you achieve the alkaline you need to make the noodles properly. 300 grams of flour. And this is bread flour, so it's got extra protein. And this is 8 grams of what's called vital wheat gluten flour. So it's basically all the gluten in flour. It's like 80 or 90% gluten. You can get it at the grocery store, generally speaking. So this is 8 grams of gluten flour. So what you're going to want to do first is combine these two. And I will use my whisk here. Okay, to kind of mix it all in. I'm going to also add in some salt. I don't put a lot in. I'm not a big salt person. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is take this and dump it into here. And you want to dissolve it. Get my baby whisk out and start mixing up until all of this is dissolved. I may not be able to see. It's all dissolved. It doesn't take too long. It's not like dissolving sugar or something else in solution because it's a very fine powder. It shouldn't take too long to dissolve. Okay, once you do that, pour this into here. And I'm going to get a wooden spoon out. Mix this up. And yes, it's going to look extremely dry. Keep mixing, it will absorb it. I want to get in here with my hands in a second. Mix this up a little bit more, and then I'll get in here with my hands. Now, it's very important to weigh out the flour because depending on how packed down your flour is wherever you have it, you could get different amounts if you use a cup. So make sure you weigh it out. Okay, and what I'm basically doing is trying to bring this all together and get the moisture together in it. And it's going to look extremely dry. This is just almost a little bit too dry. Let's see, hold on a second here. I think that every time I make this, and it winds up working out. Oh, there were a couple drops left in there. Every drop counts. Try to get as much out of the measuring cup as you can. That was very helpful. What I do sometimes is I'll make a little hole in it, because it's really imperative to try to get this as much together as you can. And it's going to look wrong and you're going to think, oh God, it's way too dry. It's not. Pretty much there. All I did was just keep kind of pushing it together and using my hands to hold it so that it starts absorbing the moisture around it. Okay. Be patient. And yes, I know the dough doesn't look like dough should. I get it. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is let this hydrate, and this is an important step. Okay. So see what this looks like? And there are still a couple dry things in here. It's okay. You're going to have little bits and pieces falling off of this as you make it. But this is pretty much what it's going to look like when you're done putting the ingredients together. What I'm going to do now is cover it with a damp towel. So I'm going to cover it with a slightly damp paper towel. And then a tea towel over top of it so it has a chance to hydrate. Now, I would let it hydrate for at least 20 minutes, somewhere around 30 is ideal. And I'll be back with the pasta machine and we'll start rolling it out. Okay, so we're back and this is what our dough looks like. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'll try to hold it up for the camera. It's got dry spots in it, but you're gonna notice it's a lot more moist than it was before. So at this point, what I'll do is cut it into 4, and it's gonna be tough. Remember, you put gluten basically in the sucker. And don't be surprised if part of the inner core of it is still a little soft. It's gonna happen. All right. Enough of the ums. So, and what I try to do is flatten these out. Into 4 pieces. Okay. Keep trying to push it together, and as you're trying to mash it, you're pushing the moisture into the drier spots from the wetter spots. Okay. There's 2, 4. And it really doesn't matter that they're perfect size. I mean, if you want to measure them out and be that way, you can. Take my dampish paper towel and keep 3 of them semi-hydrated. I'll put them to the side for now. And I will, let's work with this one first. That looks the best of the 3. I'm gonna slightly damp paper towel and then underneath a tea towel so they don't dry out while you're working on each one. Okay, so here's the pasta maker. It has settings. Mine goes from 1 to 7. 7 is the widest. Okay, 1 is the narrowest. And that's going to determine the thickness of your pasta. So it's got 2 sides, mine has. Most of the manual ones do. Your dial may go from 0 to 8 or 9. Like I said, mine goes to 1 to 7. So this side of it is for rolling the pasta and flattening it out. And then this side is for actually cutting it. We're going to be using the tiny one on the top here. So when you're done rolling your pasta out, what I'll do is, or when I'm done, if you have a manual one too, you'll move to this side and then you'll feed it down and then you'll pull it out and you'll have your ramen noodles or pasta. So what we need to do is we need to flatten this out a bit by hand to get it to go into there. And it's going to be a bit of a challenge because it's quite thin even at the most open setting. So what you want to do is get it to a certain flatness, and this is kind of getting there. And if you want to push some of the, like I'm doing, some of the dry parts back in, and as you push it down, you're going to notice that it's going to start getting more hydrated and you're going to see less and less of the spots. Okay. Now, you're going to want to push this through a couple times. And you can't go from 8 to 1, or you really shouldn't. What you should do is try to go through a couple times. So I think I got it thin enough. Nah, maybe a little bit there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over on itself after that first run through. Press it down a little bit. And then I'm going to send it through from this edge. What I'm also going to do is, and you can do, is try to use your dough scraper, if you have one, and get the edges straighter. This will help later when you're going to cut the noodles. There we go. Now it's starting to look a lot better. I'm going to send it through one more time at this thickness. And then what I'm going to do is go to 6. So now I'm making it thinner. Alright. I'm going to press the sides in a little bit here. Oop. Grab onto the sucker underneath. Alright. Now I'm going to go to 5. Oop. And then 4. 3. You can probably see it getting longer and longer each time. And there's 2. Now, I usually stop here at 2. You can choose to go to 1 on your setting or the thinnest setting. That's entirely up to you. But we're done. You can kind of see the way it looks. I'll hold it up here too. You can kind of see. So we've done the first part, which is the pressing it out. We have our nice flat. Now the second part, which is actually cutting the noodles. All right. And this takes a little getting used to and hang of. What you want to do is you want to start spinning it. What I try to do is get it going before. All right. So I'm going to have to do this left-handed. That's how I did it before. Keep pulling. Keep pulling. Just gentle. You just want to and then there are your noodles. And then what I usually do is kind of loop them around a bit and make kind of a little nest about it to the water. So when they're fresh, you're going to take about a minute to cook these and boil them. When they're out of the freezer, you're going to do it for about 2 minutes. And that's all you need to cook the pasta. So once again, I'm just making it flat. I'm going to move my handle back to this. I'm going to reset it back to the biggest setting, which is 7 on mine. I can use a rolling pin for this. I just find that I'm going to roll it through again. Like before, one time through, kind of so I can make that flat edge going back. Oh, press this down. Okay. A lot of times I'll make a double batch and then I'll freeze a whole bunch. They'll keep for quite a while in the freezer. If you want shorter noodles, you can do shorter noodles. If you want longer noodles, you can make this, you can fold it this way, so you can kind of fold it on its side this way to make a really long strip, which would be really super long noodles. I'm going to try to do this way so you can kind of see either way as long as you're grabbing the pasta. And if a little bit falls, you can always pick it up after the fact. All right. Make my pasta swirl nest again. I find this helps with drying and launching. So now we got 2 of them. All right, the final step here is assembly. So I have my broth warming here. I have all of my, I guess, toppings and other things I'm going to add to it ready over here with my bowl. And then over here, I have my water. And so if you made them that day earlier like I did, this is going to be about a minute to cook in here. You don't want it too aggressive of a boil, but you do want it warm, obviously. And then what you're going to do is cook these for a minute. Just drop it in there. And then get yourself a spider, which is one of these. So you want to use your spider or strainer spoon to make sure that ramen, all the noodles. My setup. Kind of move these around. Now I steam my vegetables a little bit beforehand. Kind of get those to be a little bit with each other. Okay. I had a bunch of chicken and mushrooms from before. Ooh. Oh, look at that. And of course, you got to have your egg in there too. Okay. And then you're going to want to take your broth. Just kind of spread it all around and make sure everything is down in there. Oh, God, it smells good. Poke the chicken down in there so it warms up in the broth. You can see those nice noodles along with everything else. So there you have your ramen. You can do pork, you can do beef.